Hello, BookTube, and this is the Future History Project, and we are reading, or I have read Maverick, which is the fifth book in the Robots and Aliens series by Bruce Bethke. Uh, yeah, there are things that are just nonsense good. It's shoddily written. Again, like the dialogue for these things, like he's got them like as children in many ways. The dialogue for the aliens, the robots, the computer. Uh, it basically they're going back to Robot City, the main Robot City, from the previous book, and Eranimus shows up and damages their ship badly, but they are able to jump once more, and mysteriously they're back at the planet where Adam was born with the kin. And in the meantime, there's scenes with on the planet where the robots, their computer has gone doolally, and they are they're in charge. They're running things, but what they want to do is have humans in there. So they've extended their definition of humans to include the canine species, the kin, and also shows up there. Prior to Derek showing back or coming back there, his mother's there looking for Adam, basically. So then she leaves and goes to the main robot city, and then that's when, conveniently, just at those times, Derek shows up, and the group, um, and they think that they've uh, escaped from Eranimus, and so they land, but they have to get permission because the city is now being inhabited by the kin, and the robots don't want to take orders anymore from humans, and the computer doesn't care that they're there. But Adam has to speak to, because he's Silverside. He's their sort of spiritual goddess in a sense. So, but it's kind of a weird connection he makes to the computer. He has to ask permission to connect. Okay. Um, and so he diverts back to Akin, and he riles them up and gets them to say that, to kick the humans off the planet or kill them. And in the meantime, like, Eve is there, Wolruf is there, Ariel is there, and Ariel is playing with the pups. You know, it's just bizarre. I'm sorry, it's just bizarre. And Lucius disappears for the whole novel or the story until the end. But just as the crisis was going to happen with with the kin against the humans, Eranimus shows up and says he's going to dump a bunch of radioactive plutonium on the city. So they've got 20 minutes to do something. So they figure, well, okay, they'll send a bomb through, the key to perihelion and blow it up. They'll figure out. They figure in a few minutes how to get a bomb and create and have it sort of go automatically there. And they don't think it will destroy the ship. They didn't expect it to. It was just to sort of divert their attention, so their aim would be bad, so it would go into the forest. Like, it would still cause an ecological disaster, but there would be less death, and they couldn't evacuate the city quick enough. They don't, for some reason. This robot city never had a perihelion sort of plant that created perihelion keys. Well, all the others did for some reason, but this one doesn't. Um, so they do this, and the bomb that Dr. Avery creates. I'm not even looking this up to see if it's real. If it's real, it doesn't matter. It was silly. He makes a bomb out of caramel, a lump of caramel. He says it's as strong as black powder. Okay, yes, I know sugar can be explosive, like molasses and things like that. And he says that it's half sugar and half saltpeter, which is an ingredient in black powder. But it's still stupid to say the bomb is made out of caramel, and if it doesn't explode, I'll eat it. So this happens, and it just so happens that they get it in the wrong place, and it goes into the engine room, and it creates a black hole, and it blows the ship to smithereens. But of course, Aranimus escapes in a pod. Of course he does, and he's going to crash land on the planet. And in the meantime, the robots had, like I say, the robots had decided that the kin are human, and they've developed their own zeroth law, meaning that humanity it supersedes the first law of robotics, where you protect a human, but it's like to protect humanity. So in essence, a human could die in order to protect humanity. That's the idea of it. That doesn't really come in Isaac Asimov's until Robots and Empire. But so be it. Okay. And then they deal with a little bit of other things that they haven't dealt with yet. They never really we know that Dr. Avery wiped Derek's or David's, his son's David's memory. But he put him on this asteroid, and why were these robots looking for this perihelion key on the asteroid that's buried in the asteroid? And how did Aranimus, there's a little bit of talk, he heard these stories. Something fishy there. But Derek asks him during this, and he says, I was insane then. I don't know why I did this. So he's not sane anymore. So with a few days of intervention of Woolworth and the two or three Silverside, like Adam and Eve and possibly Lucius, he's sane now. Okay, fine. It just goes on with this, and they decide at the last minute, just before they get attacked in space, to reactivate some of Mandelbrot's memories. If we remember right, Derek rebuilt him from junk and called him Alpha, but then once he was on Robot City, he got directions to change his name to Mandelbrot, and it has to do, I think, with the arm that is a Avery robot arm, which is cellular, and it can change shape. But he used to be, before that, he was Capek. He was Ariel's personal robot. So there's still some memory chips, so they decide to fix him up and put the memory chips in. And he then remembers, Woolworth as, the enemy and stuff. And apparently he flips out occasionally and attacks Woolworth. That's mentioned, but it's just forgotten about eventually. And everybody talks like a little child. They really talk about Woolworth as, that she has pups, and she when she gave birth, she whelped. And it's just, that's not, I don't think, what was envisioned, first of all. And it just goes on. But then, the Aranimus crash lands, and the doctors couldn't get there, or the hunter robots, couldn't get there in time, so the kin sort of mauled them and basically killed them, and they don't have, like they did with the little kid before, or the teenager, they made him a cyborg. So they decided to make him a cyborg. But you see, this is on a different planet, but I guess the connection or the knowledge was there about Joe, that they did this, and they know that there was imbalances with the brain, so they decided to make it a positronic brain. So Aranimus is there, but they reinforced the three laws, so he has to do things. So Woolruff plays fetch with him. Because he's got to obey. Yes. So in the meantime, all of a sudden it was all just a feint and, a plan that they had. Why Adam wanted to kick out the humans, we don't know. He's saying, oh, well, it really wasn't, anything bad. And the robots, supervisor robots, used his sort of pattern consciousness and switched it into their computer, so it becomes the Silver Side goddess and the leader of the kin. So they've got it all figured out that, yeah, they don't want to change their society too much, but they figure that, in a few years they can then let them know that there is no goddess and everything like that. And then several centuries, they figure 2 or 3 centuries in the future, they'll be able to go into space. But they're going to keep all that knowledge back. So they're just going to serve and guide them. The robots will. Yeah. I will be glad when these are over. The next one is by the Jerry Oleton, which the previous one I did like. I think it was the best out of all of them. Like we've gone through 18 books, or we will be with 18. We had the 6 Robots in Time, which were extremely weak, and most of the robot cities were weak. They were okay. They weren't too bad, but there were some bad ones. And in this one, first one was okay, and then they were weak, I think. And the last one, the number 4, was actually quite good, by Jerry Oleton, called Alliance. Next one is also Jerry Oleton, and it's Humanity, and it's the final. It's the 6th volume in the series. There it is there. So, they're trying to, or this guy was trying to, answer question, because there is the question of why Derek was on this asteroid, why all this, but he can't remember, so, okay, well, that's sort of pushed aside. And then, what's this perihelion? There is an explanation for it. I don't know if I believe it, but it's a good enough explanation that I can let it slide. That he said, if you travel with the keys and you go from hyperspace and then you wind up in another place as a person, it's like you'll be smeared across wherever you're going, because it'll be too quick. It's like being shot out of a cannon almost, or something like that. Okay, fine. But to stop in perihelion takes out the energy. But I can see that going into there, but then when you go to the next... Okay, well, no, I better not think about this too much. But okay, that sort of explained a little bit, and okay, that's fine. But everything else is just like throughout this, Ariel was just sort of written off. She was playing with the kin pups, and she was gone. Lucius disappeared and then winds up back at the end. Eve is peripherally there. She sort of realizes that Adam is saying these things to get rid of humans, and she's concerned about that. But then that's it. She disappears too. But then she's back at the end, sort of. She's there, but she doesn't do anything or say anything. yeah, very shoddy. Very, very shoddy. And this guy's supposed to have written a lot of stuff. And it's amazing. It's amazing. Anyway, I'll see you next time, BookTube.